All right, as I said, the preparations are on full swing. In fact, traffic advisories already on starting today. There are massive traffic jams.
Stay home.
Stay home.
Stay home. Okay. All we can say is stay home.
Krishna focusing on staying at home. But let's focus slightly on the updates that have come in the past 24 hours. So we've had different dignitaries speaking, union ministers speaking. Before I go to the economic agenda, let's quickly begin with Xi Jinping not making it, but China reiterating that don't worry, we still support India. We support India's G20 presidency, even though Xi Jinping is not going to cut it, make it. A lot of conversation and chatter around that. Xi Jinping not making it means that perhaps the final agenda that will come through, the resolution that will come through, will not have approval of the premiership or the prime ministers or the presidents of both China and Russia, two major global economies.
Right. Absolutely good. All eyes, Shweta, were on whether Xi Jinping was going to make it for G20 or not. This is India's time in the sun as a global power hosting the G20 presidency. You look at what is happening in Delhi, NCR, the entire area of Delhi NCR is gearing up for this festival, the G20 festival. We're not mentioning that, Shweta. Apart from Janmashtami today, we have the G20 festival essentially kicking off the festival season in India this year around. So Xi Jinping not making it is a huge, is a huge factor. And as you're rightly pointing out, whether the decisions taken at G20 Summit will be binding on China and Russia is for anybody to comment upon. But I'll tell you this much, the fact that we got confirmation that Joe Biden is coming, because there was uncertainty regarding whether Joe Biden was going to make it or not.
But he's tested negative.
Of the United States of America, he has tested negative. Unfortunately, his wife Jill Biden did test positive
for COVID.
Yesterday, they had the big press conference in the White House. Jake Sullivan essentially announcing the fact that Joe Biden will be making it. That is definitely a shot in the arm for India. But India will, definitely be looking at Xi Jinping's absence. Let's face it, Putin not making it. Again, he hasn't made it to many global forums in the recent past. So hence, starting with the G7. If he didn't make it to the G7, doubtful that he was going to make it to the G20. But Xi Jinping definitely should have been here. And that's something that will, we need to understand how the G20 progresses and what the final resolution is and how much of the absence of Xi Jinping will be felt at G20. That's left to be seen.
All right. And as far as the economic agenda is concerned, the Finance Minister spoke on record yesterday. We'll try and play up that bite really very quickly. Yesterday morning, talking about what is going to be on the agenda. And she mentioned debt restructuring is at the top of the agenda. Another focus area will be cryptocurrency. And yet again, another focus area would be regulation around both cryptocurrency, AI, as well as conversations around tax havens, safe spots for tax evaders, for people who are willing to bypass law and order. All of that will be discussed along with cyber security, cyber threats. That is going to form and be the base of conversations that will start as soon as tomorrow.
Right, and rightly so. You're talking about AI. Ever since we've seen the burst of AI, there's been talk of how do you regulate AI? How do you make sure you keep innovating on AI, bringing up new technologies, at the same time regulating the use of it? So it is a big global conversation, and it's imperative that it's part of the G20 conversation. And India, being the G20 president, to making it as part of that conversation is very, very important. AI was always going to be there. Crypto really, excites me because of the G20 countries, Shweta, 11 of them have introduced their own central bank digital currency or CBDC. 11 of the G20 countries, including India.
Okay.
So, and all of them are doing it in the pilot way. So clearly, the introduction of CBDC was always seen as a counterpoint to crypto's popularity, across the world. So how will these countries get together? I'm sure as they're discussing cryptocurrencies, they will be discussing CBDC.
Absolutely.
And they will be talking about the progress of every single one of their own CBDCs. So I want to know the outcome of that conversation, surely.
All right. And apart from that, CBDC and other digital infra goods, the India Stack story that of course is going to be a big selling point for India.
And UPI.
And UPI, of course, a part of digital public infra goods that India is going to hope that more and more countries will perhaps adopt. Let's quickly listen in to Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharman speaking yesterday.
Crypto threat as well as an opportunity. But crypto is also an example that I use later to say how, unless global cooperation works out well, you're not going to be able to have a responsible financial ecosystem which can regulate it as well. Drug and drug worlds, drug mafias, are also a big threat again to the financial ecosystem. Tax havens and round-tripping of resources, tax evasion, all these are also the threats that we need to work. Keeping in our mind, we need to work with these threats before us so that we can address them.
All right, as I said, preparations are afoot. Delhi is abuzz. There are massive traffic jams that we can report by the way of our colleagues who've entered in the newsroom this morning as India and the national capital gear up to welcome heads of state from as many as 20 countries, part of the G20 group. We'll keep bringing you all the updates here on News 9. Stay tuned, but that's all on this bulletin. Thanks for watching.